Hello everyone, it's Emily, and in this video, as promised, I'm going to give you the garden update for June. First, I thought you might want to see what our front yard meadow is looking like. We have lots of coreopsis this year, and that's a different one. That one I've only ever seen grow in the driveway before, so that's cool that it's made it to the our front yard. We're going to have less grass. We're going to get rid of some of this grass next spring, so we'll have less grass and more flowers. Got lots of black-eyed Susans. Anyway, yeah, that's what our front yard garden is looking like. I want to give you a heads up. Lots of things need pruning in the garden right now. It's early in the morning. It's around 6:30, so I haven't got to my gardening chores yet. But yes, you will see a lot of things like the asparagus. It is time. I usually cut the asparagus down twice. Once about this time, somewhere in the middle of June, I cut it down, and it'll provide more for me, get a little bit more. And also in the fall, when you're supposed to. All right, well, let's start over here with the peas. This is the very first year that I have not had powdery mildew on the peas in June. Oops, I spoke too soon. It is finally developing powdery mildew, but it's taken a while. It's also got anthracnose. That's what all this mess is. It developed anthracnose first, but I mean, there's anthracnose all over the garden. What are you going to do about it? It's hard. But look, I'm getting a lot of peas. Well, I have to do another picking today, it looks like, to get some green peas. So, despite the disease, the peas will keep producing pretty well for a little while. Even if the actual vines don't look great. Lots of peas. This is going to be the most peas I've ever got, because I think this is the most plants I've ever planted. The nasturtium kind of got beat down by a hard rain the other day. Otherwise it would look nicer. Alright, let's go over to this side. Lots, no, well, not lots, but plenty. I mean, a good bunch now of baby Eva purple ball tomatoes growing. This needs to be pruned. Like, this is going to go bye-bye. Alright, I'm not going to have my tomatoes spreading out 5 feet. Marigold. Now, the marigolds, I think, had anthracnose too. And I don't know if it was the hydrogen peroxide. But I mean, after I started spraying hydrogen peroxide, the plants started growing and they didn't have any more of the black spots on the leaves. So, yay! It's working, at least so far. Another tomato. This one's younger, so it doesn't have fruit yet. This one has fruit. It has leaned over. I have to tie this back up a little higher so it stands up straight. This one has fruit too. And these are all Eva purple balls here. This one over here, as far as I know, is a cherry. And it's still pretty small. Doesn't even have blossoms yet. And the peppers are doing really well. Lots of, oh, this one has teeny tiny buds forming. And one of them over toward the end has a pepper, I'll show you, but we've got flowers going. Now, there are supposed to be southern peas, cow peas, growing, several of them, in between where the peppers are next to the posts. But the reason I don't, I figured out is, well, I figured this out after I had a couple of the peppers almost die. There are lots of mole tunnels. There are mole tunnels going through this bed underneath, and I'm going to have to decide what I want to do about that. But what I think happened is the moles went by and the seeds I'd planted they ended up getting down way too deep for them to germinate. I still have a little bitty, this was the smallest pepper that I planted. It's still pretty small, but it's growing, and get that baby grasshopper off of it. So that cowpea is the first one germinated, you can tell. And more peppers. There. I haven't touched this broccoli. I don't water it or anything, and it's still going. We've had a decent amount of rain, but we did have a couple weeks there where it was stupidable. But yeah, this one struggled. It's had a lot of aphids. There's a thyme. Here's a weed I need to take out. So there it is. Is that pepper there? There we go. It's actually got 2 peppers. So things are growing. All right, so you saw the asparagus. Again, I had actually originally planted 60 cowpea seeds, some over where I just showed you, and most of them in this bed. I think I have 10 in this bed that germinated. Mole tunnels again. But anyway, this is kind of like a natural garden, by the way. I'm lighting this on purpose. These were mung beans I had soaked too long and they were bad, so I tossed them out and 3 plants grew. Who knows if they'll grow beans, but there they are. It's just a nice, pretty little natural habitat. Got a bunch of purslane. So, yeah, I like to leave a few spaces in my garden natural for the, for all the critters. It also gives the grasshoppers something to eat other than my crops. Yeah, this should all be green. With there should be way more, 5 times more cowpeas, but oh well. Live and learn. It's not like I was planning to survive on cowpeas. More asparagus that needs to be pruned. The baby asparagus that I started by seed in spring is doing pretty well, except that one. Darn it, the grasshoppers keep getting that one right there, see? So I don't know what's going to happen to that one. But the rest of them seem to be doing well. Here's my Valencia melon. I'm going to make a video pretty soon on my trellis, building a trellis here, but it's got flowers. So we'll see how well that does. All right, well, let's see, move that off. There, in the May video, you did not see any sweet potato vines. Here they are. There's pretty much a sweet potato vine. Well, not over here. These haven't come up yet. But these are just organic sweet potatoes that my husband bought at Walmart. That's what I didn't use seed potatoes. I just used the kind they buy in the store. But they are organic, less likely to be sprayed with a sprout inhibitor. So anyway, yep. There's a vine coming up pretty much wherever I planted a potato. All right. I'm sorry. That's probably making you dizzy the way I'm whipping the camera around. I forgot about the carrots. I'll go back to those. Anyway, empty SIP beds here. So this was the kale, remember? It had too many worms, too many aphids. I took them down. And look, I need to work on raising the soil level before I plant anything in here more. It sunk down. This was a hybrid lasagna garden bed. I'll explain that later, but anyway. But a lot of the stuff has composted, that's why the soil has gone down. It's the same with this. This was a hybrid lasagna bed. All right, so this was in the first video. This was like only like 3 or 4 inches tall, and all the leaves had been eaten off it by, I think, a worm. Because there was a kale right here before. I think one of those worms had gotten on the tomato and made itself sick eating the tomato. But anyway, it has recovered nicely, as I predicted it would. There's the oregano over there. Yeah, big. The other ones are really big. These 2 tomatoes need to be pruned. You see I've tied them up, supported them. This marigold has not done well, but it is finally growing teeny tiny buds. It's finally growing, period. It's doing better. All right, another tomato. And the cilantro is still here. Still has flowers. The flowers invite bees, which is right next to this cilantro is right next to the cucumber. So hello. The bees really like these, and they'll find the cucumber flowers too. That oregano's getting big. The dill is growing nicely. They didn't all germinate, but that's fine. The dill is basically 2 purposes. Number 1, feed the swallowtail caterpillars, because I love swallowtail butterflies. They're so pretty. And number 2, supposedly it helps repel the cucumber beetle. But anyway, yeah, the dill over here can't grow because of the cilantro. It's shading it so badly. That one's doing well. That dill right there. All right, but so it looks like there's teeny tiny cucumber. We'll see if they got pollinated, they'll grow. So we'll see. Pole beans going to town, need to be pruned. Kentucky Wonder pole beans are crazy. They grow really huge and make multiple vines. So that's the first one. This one was smaller. It's got started later, so it's still just the one vine there. It looks like it's going to try to vine up the lamb's quarter, which is fine. The lamb's quarter are kind of like emergency. If stuff hits the fan, we've got nutritious greens that just grow wild. I've had to prune it though because it's been sticking out in my aisle in the path. And I have been cutting a lot, cutting and eating lots of this lettuce here. I've also cut much of this chard. I need to do another cutting and cook that up. But anyway, it's all bolting now. It's getting too hot. It's getting to be in the 90s, so it's bolting, but it's still really good for smoothies. The potatoes, I'll just show you real quick. They are producing, but even though I've sprayed them twice with neem, they're still pretty blighted looking. I don't want to bother keep spraying. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, next year I'll know better. I will start as soon as the greens of the potatoes show up. I will start spraying to hopefully keep them from getting blighted. I have a carrot going to seed here. Oops, I missed that one. And I'm just gonna, no matter how small these are, this one's bolting too, I can tell. I'm just gonna have to pull these out because they're just gonna go to seed because it's getting too hot. All right. My lesson learned about carrots is I'm only going to grow, from now on, I'm only going to grow Black Nebula starting in the spring. And then the orange, all the cool weather type carrots, I'm just going to grow, and I'm going to start them in the fall, like, August or September or whatever, because they just, our weather's too up and down in the spring. It doesn't stay consistently cool, and they go kaput pretty quick. They get bitter, they bolt, whatever. But anywho's, there you go. It's kind of a messy view, isn't it? Anyway, this is my middle of June 2023 garden update. I've got fruit growing, so that's a good thing. All right. Thanks a lot for watching. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I hope to see you for the next video. In the meantime, happy gardening.